My name is Daniel, and for a long time, I believed I had the perfect love story. I thought I had found my forever with Vanessa. She wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my future. We met at a mutual friend's wedding. I was there for the groom. She was there for the bride. One moment I was enjoying the festivities, and the next, I was caught up in a conversation with the most beautiful woman in the room. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers, and that marked the beginning of what I believed to be something extraordinary. At first, our connection seemed casual, a few texts here and there. But soon, it grew into a constant exchange, morning texts, late-night calls, and thoughtful check-ins throughout the day. Before I knew it, Vanessa had become part of my routine. It felt natural, effortless. And then came the moment I finally asked her to be my girlfriend. I remember her teasing me, playing coy, making me wait. I thought her hesitation was just her way of being cautious, perhaps thoughtful and mature. Looking back now, I wonder if that hesitation was something else entirely. But back then, I never questioned it. I was too busy giving her everything. My time, my love, my support. If she needed me, I was there. If she faced a problem, I was the one finding solutions. I made sure she always got what she wanted. I introduced Vanessa to my family, and they embraced her like one of their own. My parents adored her, and my siblings treated her like family. Likewise, I became close to her family. I cared deeply about them too. If her parents needed help, I was there. If her siblings needed something, I stepped in. I wasn't just dating Vanessa. I was investing in her, in our future. In my mind, it was only a matter of time before I proposed. I believed we were destined for marriage. Yet my friends never shared my enthusiasm. They never outright disliked Vanessa, but I could tell they had their doubts. It wasn't just one or two of them, it was all of them. They said she was too wild, too unpredictable, too much for someone like me. While I was calm and steady, Vanessa thrived on attention, always craving excitement and chaos. My friends thought she was using me, that I was blind to what was really happening. Every time we met up, someone would find a way to warn me. "She's playing you," they'd say. "You're acting like a fool." I ignored their warnings. I'd smile, shake my head, and tell them they were wrong. "You don't know her like I do," I insisted. I convinced myself they were just being protective or envious. To me, Vanessa wasn't manipulative. She was everything I had ever wanted. I believed in our love. I believed in her. Life doesn't always hand you something good, and when it does, you have to hold on tight. That's what I told myself every time my friends spoke against her. Aside from my friends, one person who tried to open my eyes was Stephanie. Initially, Stephanie was just Vanessa's friend, but over time, she and I grew close. Stephanie was honest, blunt, and always upfront. That's why her words hit me harder than I expected. She hesitated before speaking, her face tense. Then she told me that Vanessa had been cheating on me. Not once, not by mistake. It had been going on for a long time. Stephanie said she had confronted Vanessa multiple times, begging her to stop, but Vanessa didn't care. In fact, Stephanie claimed Vanessa had grown bolder with it. She told me she couldn't stay silent anymore. I deserved to know. I stared at her, stunned. Cheating? Vanessa? It didn't make sense. I had given Vanessa everything. My love, my trust, my support. I had welcomed her into my family, and I had cared for hers. Why would she betray me? She had no reason to. I let out a small, nervous laugh. "This is a joke, right?" I asked, waiting for Stephanie to smile and tell me it was all some twisted test of trust. But she didn't laugh. She didn't take it back. Instead, she sighed and told me she wouldn't have said anything unless she was absolutely certain. Still, I refused to believe it. This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. My mind raced for an explanation that made more sense than the idea that Vanessa, the woman I planned to marry, was sneaking around behind my back. One evening, I had just gotten home from work, drained from a long day. My office had been chaotic, and all I wanted was to eat, shower, and unwind. Before I could even take off my shoes, my phone rang. It was Stephanie. Again. I hesitated, debating whether to answer. When I did, her urgent tone cut through me. "Daniel, if you don't believe what I told you the other day, go to Vanessa's house right now. Don't tell her you're coming. Just go." I sighed heavily. "Stephanie, I'm exhausted. What exactly are you trying to?" "Just go," she interrupted, her voice sharp and desperate. "If you trust me at all, just go." Her seriousness shook me. Still, I doubted her. What if I showed up only to find Vanessa home alone, minding her business? What if I ended up looking foolish for doubting her? Worse, what if Vanessa found out Stephanie had been feeding me these ideas and turned her anger on me? But another thought crept in, one I couldn't shake. What if Stephanie was right? I took a deep breath, pushed off the couch, and decided to go. Not because I believed Stephanie, but because I wanted to prove her wrong. I needed to end this doubt once and for all. I changed out of my work clothes, grabbed my keys, and drove to Vanessa's place. When I arrived, her apartment looked quiet. I walked to the door and hesitated. But I had a spare key. I was her man, right? Sliding the key into the lock, I paused, then stepped inside quietly. The living room was exactly as I'd left it last time I visited. But then my eyes caught something. A crumpled man's shirt on the floor, a pair of jeans tossed on the couch, and next to them, Vanessa's dress. My breathing quickened. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and hit record. If this was what I thought it was, I needed proof. I crept toward the bedroom. Vanessa was tangled in the sheets, her bare back exposed. Straddling her was a man, taller and rougher looking than me. His hands gripped her waist while her arms were wrapped around his neck. They were so caught up in each other that they didn't even notice me. I should have shouted. I should have exploded. But instead, I just recorded. I stood there, frozen, watching like an outsider in my own life. When I had enough, I stopped recording, slipped my phone back in my pocket, and cleared my throat. The reaction was instant. Vanessa gasped, scrambling for the sheets, her eyes wide with horror. The man turned his head slowly, his expression blank, not guilty, just surprised he hadn't noticed me sooner. I forced myself to speak. Why? Vanessa hesitated, her mouth half open like she was about to lie. But then her expression hardened. She lifted her chin, her voice calm and steady. I'm sorry, Daniel, but I needed a real man. You're good, but too soft. Her words hit harder than I expected. I felt those words burn inside me, but I didn't react. I just smiled faintly, walked to her purse, reached inside, and retrieved my spare key. Without a word, I turned and walked out. I thought my friends would comfort me, but when I told them what happened, they burst into laughter like I'd just delivered a punchline. She's right, man. One of them chuckled, slapping my shoulder. You made her your queen, and she wanted a king. Another one grinned. You turned yourself into her servant. Their words stung, but I couldn't argue. They'd warned me, and I'd ignored them. I had no one to blame but myself. I didn't even bother to defend my choices. I just left. Back home, I locked the door and grabbed the nearest bottle I could find. At first, I only meant to take the edge off. Just a few sips to clear my mind. But one drink turned into two. Two became five. Before I knew it, I was drowning in liquor and self-loathing. Anger simmered beneath the haze. If Vanessa wanted to play dirty, I'd show her what real humiliation felt like. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through unread messages, ignoring the flood of notifications. I opened my gallery, found the video, and uploaded it to every group chat we were both in. Then, I typed a message. Be careful who you give your heart to. Some people will break your back and still tell you you're not enough. I hit send. Almost instantly, my phone exploded with vibrations, calls, texts, and voice notes from people I hadn't heard from in months. Even some of Vanessa's closest friends. I let them all ring out. I wasn't interested in what they had to say. The damage was done. I took another swig from the bottle, letting the burn sink in as I slumped deeper into the couch. My head spun, my body felt heavy, and my thoughts darkened. But one thing was clear. Vanessa's little game was over. The noise of my phone buzzing faded into meaningless background static. My vision blurred, my breath slowed, and before I realized it, everything went dark. The morning after felt strangely quiet. But my phone told a different story. 32 missed calls. Vanessa, her friends, a couple of mutual acquaintances. The messages kept piling up, flooding my screen as if sheer persistence could undo what I'd done. Some were furious, cussing me out, calling me every name in the book. Others took a different approach, trying to guilt-trip me. Be the bigger person, bro. You're better than this. Then there were the desperate ones, practically begging me to take the post down, as if the truth was only real as long as it stayed hidden. Vanessa's voice notes were the most pathetic. At first, she was livid. Daniel, you ruined my life over one incident. You're sick. But the longer she talked, the more her anger cracked. Desperation crept in. She cried. She pleaded. She blamed me. You're making this worse than it has to be. Worse for who, Vanessa? Then came the legal threats, or at least an attempt at them. One of her friends tried to sound clever, calling it revenge porn. It wasn't. There was no nudity, no explicit content, just cold, undeniable proof of what she had done. Proof she never thought would see the light of day. If exposing the truth made me the villain, I could live with that. I'd been the fool for too long. So I did the only thing left to do. Vanessa? Blocked. Her friends? Blocked. Anyone still trying to defend her? Blocked. I scrolled through the group chats one last time, watching the chaos unfold. Some people were shocked. Some claimed they always knew. Some laughed. And me? I just sat there, sipping my drink, feeling lighter than I had in years. So now, would you have done the same? Honestly, I don't care. But one thing's for sure, Vanessa? She's out of my life for good. And to those watching, to those who had something to say, whether you think I went too far or not far enough, let me know. Call me a simp. Call me petty. Call me whatever makes you feel better. I'm past the point of caring. And if you know someone who needs to see this, share it. Maybe they'll learn something before it's too late.